All right, good evening, Matilde. How are you? How's it going?
Doing good, thank you.
Great. Let's please begin. Let's continue with the lesson that we left yesterday. Actually, we kind of finished the main elements. We just need to cover the two extra verbs that are also considered causative verbs, but they are not like causative itself or themselves. It's something that is related to this idea of causing something. But actually, when you allow, right, when you help, it's not the same as when you make, have, or get someone do or to do something for you. But let's remember first, please, the three verbs that we saw yesterday. Matilde, what can you tell me about the causative verbs that we got to see yesterday?
My mic was off. I could say, well, we saw make, have, and make, have, and verb I'm forgetting. Make, have.
Right. Yes, the last one is going to be get. Right.
Get. Yeah. Right. Get. And well, in this sense, it is used for showing cause. Sorry, I'm not on my best right now.
Okay, don't worry. Let's try to again understand the difference. You know that the difference between these three elements is in terms of how strong they can be in, right, let's say making someone do something, but not always as obligation, right? So the first one is about obligation. I don't know if you remember what's the difference between make and have. Both are related with something strong, but make is obligation and have has one characteristic. I don't know if you remember that characteristic.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, make is more as an obligation, and have is something that like that you need to do, but it's not an obligation itself. Yeah.
Yes, yes, and remember that the main idea there, it's always going to be related to a professional service, right? Something that is not part of your job or something that is a routine, but it's a temporary service that you are requiring, right, from someone, and that's why you again have a contract where you pay that person so that that person can do something for you, right? It can be something with your hair, with your body, with your house, with anything, right? Any type of service have. And then get is, let's say, the weaker of those three. But what do you remember about get? What's the characteristic that you can mention about it?
Okay, so in the case of get, well, I think it's more related, like it's not an obligation. I remember this example from the mother and his son. So, I mean, he convinced him. He didn't make him do it. I mean, that would be an obligation. And in this case, he's, yeah, convinced someone to do something. Persuasion. Yeah.
Exactly. Convincing and persuading, right? There you go. So we have make, obligations. We have, right? That's professional service, like contract. And get, that is convincing or persuading, right? So great. Those are the three. We're going to try to practice with them again. But first, let's finish covering the two that are missing. Remember, these are the ones, right, what we have to cover. Make, have, and get, they are done. We're going to practice a little bit. But let and help are the ones missing. So let's go to them. This is let. Please, let's read the meaning, sorry, plus the examples that we got with let.
Meaning allows someone to do something. And examples, she let her boyfriend go to the party. They will let their children play in the park. Sarah never lets anyone tell her what to do.
Okay, thank you very much, right? So again, here we can notice the difference between make, have, and get. That is that you produce someone, right? You make someone do something. But here is actually that you're letting because someone else wants to do something. So in a certain way, you're not causing that person directly, right? You're just letting. That's why again, let and help are not like direct causative verbs, but they are just going to allow people do something. So here we also use base form, right? Let plus base form, and it can be again in any tense. So first, just speaking, Matilde, what examples? Give me just a couple of examples using let. What can you think of?
Okay, so I let my sister borrow some clothes.
Okay, yes, that's one. Perfect, an idea in past. And what about another one that can be in present or in future?
Okay. Um, she will let me play with her new PlayStation 5.
Okay, okay, there you go. Yes, very simple, right? Letting someone do something, it's just permission, right? Allowing someone do that action. So we have that, it's clear. And help, this is also, of course, pretty easy. The meaning that we know of help, to give aid. Let's only read the three examples in this case, please.
Oliver helped me to do my homework. A cup of coffee in the morning helps me to wake up. My colleague helped me to write my CV.
Okay, thank you. So here you can notice something special, right, about help. This is the only one among the five verbs that we got that can be written, all right, in the base form or the infinitive, and it is correct. All right, so you can say Oliver helped me do my homework. Actually, that's going to be a little bit more natural. And then to do my homework, it's also valid and 100% correct. All right, so let's remember then that detail before going with examples in this case. So remember that make, have, base form, get is with infinitive, let is one more time with the base form, and help can be with both, with base form and with infinitive. So once again, before we go to the writing, all right, examples, let's give please only two, all right now, using help, Matilde.
Okay, uh, my accountant helped me pay my taxes.
All right.
Uh, I helped my sister watching my niece.
Just in that case, remember the verb has to be base form or infinitive, right? But I don't know what's
Oh
the
yeah,
verb.
right. Yes, I said watching. Yeah, I don't
Uh-huh.
know. Yeah. I helped. Yeah, right. I helped my sister to watch my my niece.
Okay, yes, to watch or watch in that case, right? Great, very good. There you go, right? Very simple. Now, the only activity we're going to do before we go to the next part, and actually, we're going to go back to the TOEFL because actually, it's going to be a very short review of something that we know, and then we go straight forward to the TOEFL. But before that, actually, we didn't do something yesterday because I forgot. We have to use, right, a new course. We didn't join the new course yet. So what I'm doing is it's in the chat, all right, the link for you to join the new course on Google Classroom. And remember that the only thing is that here you have the new material, right, the new presentations, and you have access also, right, to the new file that we are going to use to write the examples. I'm sharing that just in case. Okay, But remember that you can find it, right? Anytime we start working, you can find that as well on Google Classroom, classwork, and it says classwork all units. You find it over there. Okay, so let's go please to the document. Let me know when you are there, Matilde, so that we can work with this very short exercise.
I'm there.
Very good. Thank you, Matilde. So I'm going to give now give me 1 second. All right, now everything is set. Very simple, all right? Just 5 examples, one of each, all right? Make, have, get, let, help. Again, as you write, this is going to be very simple. My recommendation for these 5 examples, they don't have to be 5 separate examples, okay? So this is going to be up to you. You can perhaps have one big example of 2 complete ideas using make and have, all right, if it's possible, or even 3, if you can have a very good sentence that is divided in 2 or 3 clauses, and you get to use make, have, and get even in that idea, that would be great. If not, again, you have the option of writing just 5 separate examples. But again, it's up to you how complex you can make this to practice a little bit more. So again, that's going to be free for you to choose. All right, you can find one more time 5 separate examples, or you can write 2 examples in one complete idea, or 2 complete ideas in one statement, or 3 even in one statement, or even the last option can be using this in one paragraph. But again, it's sometimes not that easy to connect and write all, let's say, force the usage of these words in one paragraph. So it's whatever you see best for you, do it. All right, but those are the options. I don't know if you have questions about it so that we can give the time to do it.
No, just one of each, right?
Exactly.
Okay, good.
Uh-huh. Very good. So again, you decide in which way you can apply this. You have sentences, compound sentences, complex sentences, or even paragraph. Let's do it, please. We always have like 1 minute per sentence, so let's have 5 to 6 minutes. But if you finish before, please let me know.
Okay, good.
Okay, so we are with 6 minutes. Let me know, please, Matilde, how you're doing with that, if you need any extra time.
I'm just finishing the last idea.
Okay, good. Let's finish then. I'm going to be going there and we check.
I read it.
Yes, please, let's read that paragraph that you have there.
Okay. My parents made me clean my garden. I couldn't finish it, so I had a gardener finish cleaning what it was left. For the next month, I couldn't afford hiring a gardener again. This time I get my niece to clean it for me. $5 was enough for her. Next time I will let my brother take care of this chore. I hate it. In exchange, I will help him with the kitchen.
All right. Okay, very good. Again, it's great. It's perfect that you were able to work and, let's say, set everything in just one paragraph, which is even better, right? And separate examples. Great. Again, in general, it's great. I just have a couple of questions, and no, actually just one question, and then one detail. First, let's go to the detail that is clearly marked over there. Remember that we have verbs that can be followed by gerunds and infinitives. In this case, a word is going to be one that it's mainly followed by infinitives. All right, so in this case, it is going to be higher. All right, to higher over there. Good. Now here, when the object is replacing something, look, we're going to do this, and we're going to see something. Why? So I had a gardener, right, finish cleaning what was left. What in this case is going to be the subject of this idea? All right, what was left? It means the thing that was left. So that being the subject doesn't need another subject. All right, so what is going to be the subject in this case? Like in the question, what happened? Right, and what happened? This happened. Is the subject as well. All right, just that's the only reason why here we are not going to use it as the impersonal pronoun. And just one more detail before asking that question. Yes, this one, no, this is extra, right? Remember, but this is unnecessary comma because this is an introductory time reference, right? This time I get. Now here, this is my question. When you're saying this time, we're talking about a present situation, and then you say I get. But remember, when you say get, the idea of a routine or repetition comes here. So is this something related to that idea, like a general description, repetition, or habit? Or is this just one specific time in which this action happened, and then you see the result of that?
Yeah, no, it's one time, so it should be got, right?
Exactly. It's going to be better in this case. There you go. All right, so I got my niece right to clean it for me. Very good. And $5 was enough for her. Now again, here, remember, we have this, and actually, again, using commas here in this extra thing is not bad, but grammatically speaking, it's only a better thing to do when we have a phrase complementing this, not a complete idea. Even though it's very related, remember, it's not the best idea to use comma to separate two complete ideas, right? And in this case, again, we have it. So we have $5 as the subject, then you have the verb, and then you have the complement. And the same over here, right? Even though it's very short, I hate it because this is like an extra comment, right? But even though this is still a complete idea. Now you have one second option over here that it's the M dash, okay, the long dash. That can also be the colon. All right. If you use here the colon or the dash, is to give like a final comment or like a final summary or like a final explanation or you are extending something of what you said, all right, but not a comma. The two options are going to be either colon or the M dash, just if you believe that this is a conclusion, all right? Just like I hate it at the end of this sentence, all right? That's one possibility. Also, you can use the colon, all right? Sorry, sure. And then you have the column that is also used for the same purpose, but it's too formal for this specific situation. And the other option, again, is just simply use the semicolon to say that this is another idea that is related with the first one, but it's a complete idea, so it needs it's a specific space over there with the semicolon and the period. All right, it would happen the same over here, but I believe that this is a complete idea, a really complete idea that deserves to have one semicolon over there. And then over here, right? This is not the subject, so it is going to be with next time, comma. All right. Here, of course, we need to change the conjugation for plural. In exchange, sure, yes, I will help with the kitchen. Okay, I believe with that we got it. Here we have a comma because this is a compound sentence. But that will be it. Here we're going to change this, all right? That is going to be to the plural idea. We're enough. But I don't know if you have questions about these details, Matilde. Let me know, please.
No, I don't have questions. It's good.
All right. Okay, good. So let's then go to this review before going back to the TOEFL. Again, this is a lesson that we've been covering many times. According to Pearson, it's something that one, all right, has to know to complete at least the program. I can see that because we repeat this, well, a lot throughout the program. And we're doing that once again. So I'm going there, and this is the lesson I'm talking about. That is future time clauses. All right, so actually, we're not going again to see this in detail. Let's just review and let's see what we remember. Okay, so first of all, Matilde, just by looking at the title of this lesson, what do you know about these future time clauses? What comes to your mind? What do you remember? Let me know, please.
Well, it's not about the tenses, right?
Exactly. No, this is related to one very, very detailed way to explain when an action in the future will happen, right? Again, we were going to see the ideas, but let's see how much we remember just by looking at that. Clauses are always together, and you always have an independent clause and a dependent clause, right? You can use the example with if, right? If I do this, comma, something will happen, right? There you have condition. But in this case, it's close to condition, but it's only related to future time clauses. So instead of if, we have words like when, like after, like before, by the time, and so on. All right, so with that said, what do you remember, or how do you think that you can use future time clauses?
Well, I would say that when we use this kind of clauses, we are kind of forced to use future, because when I get to do something, I will achieve that. I don't know. So yeah, I mean, I'm trying to, yeah, and somehow, well, thinking about it, when it's also a correlation of ideas that they're connected.
Yes, yes, and what you said at the beginning, actually, it's like the main thing about this lesson, that we are forced to use future, because in the when, or actually in the future time clause, we use present, right? That's kind of weird, but it's how it works, right? In the future time clause, we use present, but the other clause has to be always in future. And the example that you gave was pretty good, right? When I finish this, comma, something will happen, right? Or something will happen when I finish this, or after I finish this, or before I finish this, as soon as I finish this, by the time I finish this, and so on and so forth, right? So you have like a list of these words that you can use. The meaning is not the same, but I would say that you have just two main meanings. And the idea of using all of those words is just give it variety, right? To give more emphasis to how immediate you want one action to happen, right? It's not the same when you say when than when you say the minute or the moment something happens, right? You're giving more emphasis again to how immediate something you want to be after a specific action, right? So with that, let's review. Let's remember this first detail, right? What you were saying. We have to use future, but again, paradoxically, we cannot use future in the time clause itself because when is the future time clause, right? Let's mark it. In this case, this is the future time clause, and here, this is the future time clause. It's related to a future idea, I'll go to bed, or I'll feel more relaxed, but that's in future. The future time clause, even though it says future, it has to be in present, right? It has to be in present. That's the logic over here. And if we write this in future, grammatically speaking, it's incorrect, right? So let's get to the list of words that we can use. And we're just going to give again a couple of examples. So here, when, while, before, after, as soon as, until. Just two, choose two of them, please, Matilde, and give me two examples, all right? One of each, just speaking in this case.
Okay, so when I finish my master degree, I'll celebrate celebrate and have a big party.
Great, very good. Perfect. That's good. Just one more, please. Pick one more and one more example with one of these words.
Okay. Um, as soon as I finish my meal, I'll go to my friend's house.
Right? There you go. Yes, again, it's valid, right? Any action that will happen when, while, before, after, as soon as, until something happens, it is going to be valid over there, right? So, good. Again, you know that you have the possibilities. Actually, here, this is the first one, right? You have future plus when. This is the correct order, right? Because remember, the order of the sentence, it's always going to be subject, verb, object, and the complement you have a place and you have time, right? That's why the time is always at the end. But again, if it's not at the end, what happens? We need a comma, right? When we say this time, tomorrow, yesterday, at the beginning, we say comma, comma, right? The same over here as when I finish, right, my master's degree is the same as tomorrow or next week, right? It has the same function because we are saying when, right? That's why, again, if we don't use this at the end, we have to use it at the beginning with a comma, all right? And that's the explanation because it's just a time reference. And we're going to try to work with some of those inversions, but using some of these words. Remember that we have extra words like once, immediately, the moment, the minute, the day, by the time. And just to give special emphasis to, as we were saying, how close or how immediate we want an action to happen after something that we're planning for the future, right? So with that said, I want to we have the examples. I believe that this is clear, but let's read these examples to have an idea of how it can affect the sentence, please, Matilde.
Tony will call the restaurant the moment he gets home. I'll contact you once I receive an estimate. You will be notified the minute your order arrives. It will be dark by the time we arrive home.
Thank you very much, Matilda. So again, if you analyze, and of course you can see that all of these have the same meaning as when or after, actually, right? When or after, it's the same, and the words over here, they have the same meaning. The only difference again is how well the emphasis that you have for these words, because when you see the minute, right, it feels the urgency of doing this action, and that's the only thing. Because if you say, right, you will be notified when your order arrives, is good, it's clear. But if you say the minute, it's just more urgent. It feels that there's more necessity, right, of this action, right, for this action to happen. That's the only difference, and the rest of it is exactly the same. And here we have what I was saying, the normal order plus the inversion with a comma, right? Because of the explanation that we mentioned. So to finish this and go to practice a little bit with the TOEFL, let's please choose from this. You have the moment, you have once, you have the minute, and you have by the time. Please choose two, and this time give me two examples in the inverted way. Okay, so you start with a time clause, comma, and you give me the future idea. So what do you say? What two words can you use or connectors to give me the two examples?
Okay. Once he pays me, I'll give him the product.
Right? Hey, one more time, please. The first part was not that clear for me.
Once he pays me,
Okay. Okay.
I'll
Yes. Yes. Yes.
give
It's
him the
valid.
product.
Great. There you go. Good. That's one. One more, please.
By the time I get home, everyone will be already in the party.
Very good. It is great. Remember the order of actually the word already. It can be in any place, but remember that the best places to set this, they are going to be in the middle of the auxiliary and the verb, or at the end of the sentence. Right? So instead of that one, it would be better if you say will already be. Just that. Okay? That's it. Again, and that's it for this lesson. I don't know if you have questions or anything about it. Hey, Matilde, again, this was just reviewing something that we covered before because Pearson is asking us to be sure that this is clear, and it is. So, any questions before going again to one short practice for the TOEFL? Let me know, please.
No, I think it's clear.
All right, very good. So, let's go to the practice. Now, you know, we're using this different web page. Now, I'm going to stop sharing my screen because I'm going to pick one of those as we have all the answers and everything over there. I'm going to send this question, all right, via the chat over here, and we're going to do what we know, all right? We're going to prepare the question or the answer, right? And you're going to try to use the structure that we know and that you were able to identify in the one example that we listened to that time. So actually, that's the first thing we're going to do. We're going to listen to that example one more time, plus the thing that is written, actually written over there. If you have questions or comments about it, you let me know. If not, we are going to start working at least with one or two, I believe that two questions today. All right, so let's start, please. I'm going to go to the webpage. Give me 1 second.
Just one question. I think we didn't check one of the audio files because we didn't have the time.
Exactly. It's the one that we got to listen right to the response, but we didn't listen to your response, right? Okay, so we're going to do that actually. Let's listen to what you did first, and then we're going to go one more time to the web page to compare, all right, and to see how we were able to approach to the same topic from different, all right, responses. All right, so good. Let's do that first then.
Okay.
All right, now we're going to listen. Again, a short review, and mainly here, the main thing to do is to compare it with the question or the answer that we have on the web page. So let's listen to your response.
I agree with the statement for the following reasons. First of all,
Again, I'm going to give short comments. I think that's great. You have a short, precise introduction, right? As we were practicing, it's even the just 5 first seconds, which again is going to be always a good idea to have, right, longer explanations for the two reasons that we got. All right, so the introduction, I believe, it is pretty good.
I think homework helps students to reaffirm the knowledge and to incorporate the knowledge even deeper. So in this way, these things that they are learning, they could save this in a long-term memory. And the second reason is because
All right, again, we have something interesting over there. We're close to the time that we had to use, and actually it's good because you use 5 less seconds in introduction. So it was supposed to finish in second 30, but you have 45. So again, we have a good time for the first reason. Plus, you're mentioning something interesting, right? Long-term memory, which can be considered as some facts over there. All right, so I believe it is good to do that.
if teachers give more structure and daily homework, this will help students to have more discipline and to have more clearly tasks that this will help to their further knowledge.
All right. And in this second one, again, it's not that. Actually, it's a good point that you have over there. But I believe that we're not able to convey, all right, a clear idea, or at least not as clear as the first one, right? And again, it can happen. Remember that this is just one of the many times that you're going to be recording the TOEFL, right? There are going to be not just one, but you have many tasks like this. So you have one question, record 45 seconds. Okay, next. One question, record 45 seconds, right? So again, this can happen, but then you need to look for, again, what things to do over there. So again, we're reminding, right, or remembering together what we had to do. We need one of the reasons, right, supported by facts or examples, and the other one again supported by facts or examples. If one is supported by some facts, then the other one should have a short example, or the opposite, right? Again, the ideal is to have short facts and one example for each of them. But we got to see that the last element that we checked right from the response, it worked pretty good because it was like a solid, or yes, it was an interesting fact mentioned just in the way of explaining something, plus one example for the other one. But because of the amount of time that you use for both of them and how you are able to convey the information, it felt solid. All right, so here again, we are lacking just that in the second part. You had the time. I believe it was a good time, but again, we just again, all right, lack that information over there. I don't know. Before going to the web page once again to compare the two elements, I don't know if you have comments about your own thing over here, or what do you think happened in the second part, Matilde?
Yeah, I think I ran out of ideas. So yeah, I mean, yeah,
Yes, and
again
that's
with
something pretty
practice.
common.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. And that's why actually this webpage, all right, that's something that I wanted to work with because there we're going to get a lot of ideas, all right, from. And that's very useful because, even though, of course, they are not going to be the same questions, again, right, we're not going to face a question that is going to be so different that we don't know what to do, right? So when we get the ideas from this webpage, we're going to know, again, like the main things that we can say for almost any topic. Besides comparing, right, your responses with those of the web page, you can also try to have like a list. You can have a document with a list of topics. And remember, the topics are going to be repeated, but with different questions, with different approaches. So you can have, again, one document with one topic and the possible reasons that you can give to support any possible questions over there. Okay, so you have always advantages, disadvantages, possible examples, adjectives that you can use over there, and details again that are going to make you, all right, be better prepared. And again, if you get to run out of ideas, what you can do is just try to go to use these standard responses that you have, right? And again, it's going to be like very common, but it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be yours. You can use, again, other people's ideas to complement what you are doing for the talk. Okay, this is the idea again of the web page. So let's go over there. My only, again, let's say feedback over there is related to the second idea and what I said. So let's go please to the web page now. Give me 1 second. And in the meantime, if you have questions or comments, please let me know.
No, no questions.
Okay, so here, as you read, please let's listen again to the response and let's see what elements we can use in this type of topic.
I agree with the idea of giving children homework on a daily basis. I feel this way for two reasons. First of all, I think that it will help children to retain what they've learned for a much longer period of time. The only real way for kids to absorb a lesson is to actually go home and repeat it as much as they possibly can. And in the long run, this kind of thing will lead to a lot more academic success. Secondly, I believe that homework can actually give children an opportunity to bond with their parents. For example, I got a lot of daily homework when I was in elementary school, and I'd go home and do it with my mom and dad, and I'd ask them questions whenever I was having trouble. And in time, we actually became really close.
All right, now here, look what this person is doing is something really interesting. Of course, yes, if we are in the USA, we mentioned teachers. We know that we're talking about, right, school, high school. So again, we can relate to the second idea that he's giving. But here again, or worldwide, sometimes if we read teacher, it's not only related to children, right? So sometimes we can give examples related to adolescents, teenagers, even adults, right? So if that's the case again, then you can use different examples. But again, if you feel again that you can use this strategy, it's a pretty good idea. Because look, the second reason is not actually and directly related to homework. It's related to the connection that it can create with parents, right? And that's an idea that you can use. So again, the thing that you can get out of this example is that actually you can use reasons like this. It doesn't have to be directly related, But of course, it has to be there, right? We need to understand that homework is there. Because if you only discuss or mention the connection with the parents and you don't mention the homework in how you explain that, then that will be incorrect, right? And that's going to be again negative in your response. But as long as you can connect that with the topic, and here what he's doing is repeating, right? I believe that homework, for example, I got a daily homework. My mom questions, and so on. So we're mentioning school, we're mentioning homework two times, and the connection. And because of that, again, the idea is clear. And even though, again, the main reason is connection, is still good because it's still related with the homework. So again, we already right listen to this, but I don't know, please, Matilde, before going to the next question that I know you're going to answer to, what do you think you can get from this response over here? What do you think is a good idea, or what words, even vocabulary, you would use for your response in this same question?
Well, first I would say a much quicker response. So yeah, I mean, and that way I could incorporate more ideas. And yeah, I mean, choosing examples like this parent thing, even though it's a bit weird, but yeah, I mean, it's well explained, so yeah, why not?
Yes, exactly, exactly. Again, and here, what I was saying, right? It's better if you have two elements that are directly related to that story. It's way better, of course, right? But sometimes it can happen what you said, right? In this case, that you can run out of ideas. So you have to try to look for anything that you can relate to your response, right? And again, as long as you get to do that, if you manage to connect any idea to your response that is connected to it, is going to be better than just having one and the other one just something that is not that clear, right? It's always going to be a better idea. So this is an alternative or an option that you have. Okay, let's take it in that way. So now let's work with one more question. That is the one over here. Before, because we're going to go back to this one once again tomorrow. But now I want to work with this one over here, please. Matilde, I'm going to read it for you. It says, do you agree or disagree with the following statement? Children should help their parents with household chores as soon as they are old enough. Use detail and examples in your response. Okay, so let's have please 1 minute. Let's organize our ideas. You can use right the element that you see up there as reference. You can use our template. You can use your own strategy. But the idea again is to have introduction and two reasons that are developed with supporting ideas and at least one example. Okay, that's the idea over there. Let's do it, please. 1 minute, and we go with the response. Okay, so we have the 1 minute. I'm going to read it again. It says, do you agree or disagree with the following statement? Children should help their parents with household chores as soon as they are old enough. Use details and examples in your response. So now we have again the 45 seconds. So Matilde, when you're ready, please, you can start recording your response. And as soon as I see that you're doing it, I'm going to start with the time.
Okay.
Good. So now, actually, you can upload it in the same place, but let me see if I have this in the course that we have now. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Sorry, now we do have a place to upload it. It's the same. Go to our new course, A11, Unit 4, and look for speaking and listening practice. And let's upload it over there, please. Good, I see it. So let's listen to this quick and short feedback. We listen to the response that we got on the webpage, a short comparison, and that will be it. All right, so let's start with your response.
I completely agree with the statement for the following reasons. First of all, helping with the chores in the house at a young age teach children responsibility and discipline. It has been proven in cultures like Japan that the children are being taught the cleaning habitudes. They at the long term they have integrated this in their daily lives. And second of all, I would say that this kind of burden that cleaning the house, there's a lot of things to do, and in my case, sharing these chores with everyone, it's helpful for every single person. I
Good.
completely agree
Sorry.
with the.
Okay, now, good. We got to use what we have to use. All right. So again, little by little, we're going to organize this better. It's just time that we were lacking, right? The last part didn't have as much time. And the first one, the point was there, but I believe that we were not able to get to the main idea quick, right? So you went around uh, and it was taking longer than it should have to get to the point over there. But again, you have it. In terms, again, you have the introduction, right? You have the first part, introducing the first part, showing a fact which is pretty good, talking about, right, how other cultures have integrated the idea of doing this and how beneficial it can be, right? And my then piece of advice over there, it would be that the first fact you were talking about it, but you were not using like adjectives mentioning how good and beneficial it can be, right, for children or for parents themselves. You gave the fact, but there was not like how good it is and for whom or to whom. Okay, so let's listen to the first part once again to verify that.
Responsibility and
Okay,
discipline.
you have that element. I believe those are great over there, responsibility and discipline. And then your example, we imagine that it's related to those two words over there. But let's see.
Um, it has been proven in cultures like Japan that the children are being taught the cleaning habitudes. They at the long term they have integrated this in their daily lives. And
Okay, so over there, right? You have one point over there, but perhaps we are kind of not being as clear as we can be. So the idea that you're giving there is that by making them right do these chores and everything right, housework, in the future they are going to have that as you're saying right, integrated. So as adults they will do it right. They will not be adults that are not responsible, that they are not taking care of, I don't know, the cleaning in their house. So I imagine that that's the idea over there, right, Matilde? Or what's the point of saying that detail in the last element?
yeah, that was the point.
Okay, pretty good. So again, and also a few details, right? In details that are very, very little. But remember, in the first part, you have a third person right mistake. And then also, I believe that there is no possession being used with children, which only would be children in that case.
Yeah,
But let's verify, right? It will be then in this. I want to check the verb,
with the chores in the house at a young age teach
right? So it will
children.
be there teaches, right? Because it's just one action, right? This action teaches, right? This, blah, blah, blah. Then children, just children. And that will be it. And again, the last part is just lacking that time because I believe that, yes, you were struggling a little bit in giving that fact for the first idea. If you were able to do that right in a short period of time, perhaps the second part would have had even more time to develop that. But mainly that would be it. I don't know if you have comments about this, how you felt, and what do you think it was the hardest in this specific case, Matilde?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you have said. I ran out of time at the end, so I couldn't yeah explain the second reason. And in the first one, it took me a lot of time to explain my point. And yeah, I mean, I was like I'm doubting what to say. So yeah, I mean,
All right, good, good. And again, something that you can do here, again, we cannot do it because of the time, but look, when I was also being trained to work with this type of tasks, we had like 1 hour or 2 hours, but it was just doing this. And we repeated. It was question after question after question after question and question and question, all right? Non-stop. So doing that, I believe it's a great way of practicing. Right now, we can do this, but sometimes we can spend just half an hour and even 2 or 3 questions. But imagine doing that like for 1 or 2 hours, but again, non-stop with no feedback yet, but having that, it's going to make you again do what you said, right? Getting used to the template so that then you can focus on only the ideas that you can use to fill those those spaces with, right? Because you have like a blank template that you have to fill in with your information, right? So again, it's practicing because you have it over there, but because of the lack of practice of using these, because we're just starting, sometimes we are still right using more time in one element and then we don't have time for the next one. But again, that's pretty common. All right, that's just going to improve with more practice and more practice. All right, but now let's take a look, please. I know we're using some extra time, but let's listen shortly 45 seconds to the answer we have on the web page. So you can read as well, and let's listen at the same time.
I think it's a great idea for kids to do household chores as soon as they're old enough. First of all, This can teach children some really valuable skills that will come in handy later in life. For instance, I was responsible for cooking breakfast for my little brother every day before we went to school when we were both kids. As a result, when I went away to college as a teenager, I stayed really healthy because I could cook my own meals instead of always going out for fast food like my friends and classmates. Secondly, parents and children can do household chores together, and this gives them a chance to bond. As they work on things like cleaning dishes or cooking food, they can chat, and the kids might open up about what's going on in their lives. I
Now,
think it's a
good. What happens here again? It's something interesting because actually we're using the time that we can use for each element. But this person, of course, is using more time for the first one. Remember that we have at least 15 seconds per reason, all right? Or per, yes, elements that we have to develop, okay? 15. So it will be, right, 10 for the introduction, 15 for the first idea, 15 for the second idea, and 5 for a possible conclusion that, as you can see, in many cases is not possible. All right, but sometimes when you know that you have extra time and you said something interesting and you are in 39, 38, you can have your conclusion, right? But again, it's not common. But again, what you can see here is that you can still have like one reason that is receiving something that I told you to avoid this, because actually it's something that people say that it's a good idea to avoid, giving more emphasis to one idea than the other one. But again, as long as in this case, right, this person got to use 15 seconds for the second idea, and it feels also strong, perhaps not as the first one, but it's still kind of strong, then perhaps it's good. All right, but again, it's one of the many possibilities that you can have here at the end. And of course, not all of these answers that we're going to have over here are going to be perfect. Some of them, again, are going to work here. For example, you only have one main reason developed in a very interesting way. All right, but in most of the cases you have two, and that's what we expect. But again, you are going to be responding in many possible ways. And the thing again we're doing here is to see how you can manage those possibilities, how you can get ideas from these responses over here, how much it can vary. And in case you are, again, giving more emphasis to one of the ideas, you can still be strong with the second one, not giving that much emphasis as you had to, but it's still something valid. But again, I don't know, to finish, if you have any comments or anything about the response that you see over here, let me know, please.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to see an example, and yeah, I mean, it's definitely a very elaborate response. So I think, yeah, I mean, with practice, and it's great to see an example afterwards.
Okay, yes, again, the idea of this, right, is trying not to achieve this because even perhaps this person, right, is reading just this, is not having this at that moment. It's very, very unlikely that this person is producing this just at that moment. Even, all right, even being native English speakers, it's not as easy, right? It's hard to have these ideas. Even in Spanish, if they tell me to say something in Spanish, agreeing with something, of course, it's going to be easier, perhaps, but we have to be organized, and that's difficult. It's practicing, right? Practicing, controlling the time, and it's hard. It's hard to do that, but again, it's just practice. With this, again, we're finishing. We used a lot of extra time, but I don't know if you have any final questions or comments as I'm sending the poll. Matilde, let me know, please.
No, it was great.
Okay, good, very good. So there you go. You have the poll over there. Remember, please, tomorrow we don't have classes. We're going to see each other directly on Friday. So take advantage of this time. Try to work on Pearson, right? The assignments that we have left. And that will be it. I don't know. Yes, I'll see you then on Friday directly, Matilde. Have a good night and see you then.
Okay, thank you. See you on Friday.
Bye bye.